Hi students, today we're going to be talking about multiplying decimals using the box method. So let's look at our first problem. Sarah ordered 752 memory sticks for her computers. Each memory card has 2.5 gigabytes. How many gigabytes are on 752 memory cards? So I'm obviously going to be, this is a multiplication problem because I know how much is on one memory stick and I want to find out for 752 memory sticks. So the first thing I do is I draw my box and I'm going to decompose my numbers. I'm going to decompose 752, which is 750 and 2. Now I'm going to decompose 2.5, but what we do here is since we're multiplying, right now we don't worry about the decimal. So I'm going to pretend the decimal is not there and I'm going to take it out. And instead of being 2.5, it's going to be 25. When we get our final answer, we'll bring back our decimal, okay? So let's get started. I'm going to multiply 20 times 700. I know 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 7 is 14. And then I'm going to count how many zeros I have. 1, 2, 3. 20 times 700 is 14,000. Let's do 20 times 50. Well, I know 2 times 5 is 10, and then I add 2 more zeros. And then 20 times 2, well, 2 times 2 is 4, and I'm going to add a 0, 40. Now I'm going to multiply 5 times 700. Again, it's a bigger number, so I know 7 times 5 is 35, and I'm going to add 2 more zeros. So 5 times 700 is 3,500. 5 times 50, well, 5 times 5 is 25, and I'm going to add a 0. 5 times 2 will be 10. So I'm done multiplying. My next step is to add my numbers to get my answer. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 14,000 plus 3,500. That is going to give me 17,500. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1,000 plus 250. That is going to be 1,250. And then finally, I'm going to add 40 plus 10, which will give me 50. Now I am ready to add. 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 0. 5 plus 5 is 10. I'm going to leave my 0 here and take my 10s to the next place. So I'm going to put a 1 right here. 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 1 more is 8. Next, I'm going to add 7 plus 1, which is 8. And then 1 plus nothing is going to be 1. So I have my final answer of 18,800. Now, remember what I said earlier. When we're multiplying, we pretend the decimal's not there. Once we're done adding, we bring back our decimal. So I look at my numbers, and I need to see which numbers have decimals. 752 does not have a decimal, so I leave it alone. But 2.5 does. So I'm going to count the number of spaces behind my decimal. So here's my decimal, and I'm going to go 1. There's only 1 space. So when I go to the answer, I'm going to start from the right, and I'm going to move forward. I'm going to count 1. So right here, I'm going to put my decimal. And I found my final answer. So 752 times 2.5 is equal to 1,880. Let's go to our second problem. Andrea's paper plane flew 13.4 inches. Clara's paper airplane flew 2.3 times further than Andrea's. How far did Clara's airplane fly? Well, I know Andrea's airplane went 13.4 inches. And Clara's airplane flew 2.3 times further than Andreas. Well, I know right here, the word times is a clue word. I'm going to be multiplying. So I'm going to multiply 13.4 times 2.3. So I'm going to put this number inside of my box. Now, just like we did in the previous problem, I'm going to decompose my numbers. But you can see that both of them have decimals. So like I said earlier, right now, we're gonna pretend the decimal's not there. So instead of being 13.4, this is gonna be 134. And instead of being 2.3, this would be 23. Now we can multiply. 20 times 100. Well, I know 2 times 1 is 2, and I'm gonna add 3 zeros. 20 times 30, well, 2 times 3 is 6, and I add 2 more zeros. And then 20 times 4, well, 4 times 2 is 8. I'm going to add a 0. Now I'm going to multiply 3 times 134. 3 times 100 is going to be 300. 3 times 30, well, I know 3 times 3 is 9, and I'm going to add a 0. And then 3 times 4 is going to be 12. So I'm done multiplying. My next step is to add my numbers. So I'm going to add 2,000 plus 300, which is 2,300. 600 plus 90 is 690. And then 80 plus 12 is 92. And now I'm ready to add. 0 plus 0 plus 2 is 2. 9 plus 9 is 18. I'm going to take 1 up. I know you can't see my 1, but just pretend there's a 1 here, and I'm putting it up here. 6 plus 3 is 9, plus 1 more is 10. So I'm going to put a 0, and I'm going to take my 1 up. 2 plus 1 is 3. So I have my answer, 3,082. Now remember, our numbers have decimals, so I need to bring those decimals back to my final answer. So I'm going to look at all my numbers, and I'm going to see where there's a decimal. 13.4 has a decimal right here, and I'm going to count how many spaces or numbers are behind my decimal. So I'm going to count 1. There's 1 space. I'm going to go to my next number, 2.3. There's 1 decimal. Move it back. 1. So 1 plus 1, 2. That means when I go to my answer, I'm going to move my decimal 2 places to the left. 1, 2. Put my decimal right here, and my final answer is 30.82 hundredths. That's how far Clara's plane flew. Okay, guys, this has been our lesson on multiplication of multiplying decimals using the box method. If you have any questions, you can send me a message through Dojo, Teams, or Google Classroom.